welcome back to Nevermore Forge. In today's video, what we're going to be doing is we are going to touch on the subject of quenching. Quenching has very much to do with tempering, and that will be another video. But for this video, we will be looking at the atomic structure of steel and how it acts when it is quickly heated and then quickly cooled down to a room temperature or below. Now, if you turn over here, thank you very much, you will see that I have drawn out the atomic structure of steel. And what steel consists of is iron and carbon. Now, the more carbon in your steel, the stronger your steel is. But that also means the easier it will be to break it. I know it doesn't make sense, but imagine, if you will, that you take a cake, and in this cake you put a massive amount of butter. Now, when you cook this cake, that butter acts as a lubricant, and that lubricant allows it to come free from the pan. Now, carbon, much in the same way, is the bit inside of our iron that makes it moldable. Because, as you see here, this is a diagram of cold steel's atomic structure. We have our iron, and then what we have is our carbon. Now, the carbon acts as the connection between each bit of iron. And with that, we are then able to make almost a mesh that can bend and fold and move. Whereas without it, it would just be iron. And iron alone cannot be bent the same way you would bend steel. Now, if you look over here at this diagram, labeled hot steel, this is what happens when we heat our steel up. As you see, the iron is more spread out, it's further away from our carbon atoms, which allows us to move it more as our molecules are sped up to a point where we ourselves can impact how their structure is. Now, when it comes to quenching is the process of taking this hot steel right here, and we dip it in water or oil, which quickly cools it down to room temperature or below. Sometimes it will take longer for it to finish cooling when you use oil, as oil creates a coating around it that acts as a natural insulant that keeps the heat inside. So don't go touching your freshly oil quenched metal, because it is not going to cool down the same way. But in today's video, we will be only quenching in water. Now, the advantage of quenching in water is you can selectively quench areas. Let's say I have a piece of steel right there, and all of it's hot. What I can do is I can dip it in our, quenching bucket of water, and when I dip it in, I can erase, essentially, up to where I dip it, and the rest of it will still stay hot. Although, the main problem with that is by doing this, you are putting stress on the atomic structure. Now, why does that matter? What's so important about that? Well, quite simply put, if there's too much stress on this structure, it will snap. It will break, because that transition isn't a nice slow one like you would get if you just heated this end. It would slowly, come this way. But if we were to quench this end, that cuts off the transition, causing there to be a immediate area where it goes from hot to cold. Now, in that area, these are battling each other. We have our hot steel over here and our cold steel over here. Now, if the atomic net, if you will, over here is loose, and the atomic net over here is stiff, then that makes it so that it'll work itself apart until it snaps. This is very important, as I have broken many a piece that I spent hours on and diligently working, and then made the mistake of cold quenching a specific spot, and that caused it to snap. So, the basic idea here is that if you are working on something for a long period of time, do not trust a cold quench. Just let it cool down. Or use tongs. Tongs are always wonderful. And without further ado, I will meet you over at the quenching bucket, because I have something special planned. So, what I have here is a Kodak waterproof camera. It's rated for 50 meters underwater and lasted me a long time. Now, Mom, I am sorry. I truly am. This may not go the way I planned. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to press record. I'm going to press record. And now you look up at that, and it will look up at you. And without further ado, the scariest part of this whole thing, you're supposed to sit down. Give me a moment. Find a way to hold that baby down there. Okay. So that's in place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the piece of metal that I have in the forge out, and I'm going to dip it in, and you will see what happens when something is quenched. Once again, Mom, I'm sorry. So, it's a bit warm. I'm going to take that holder out. At the cold, it is very, or at the bottom, it's very cold, I mean. Getting caught up in my thing. And there we go. We have a survivor. As you can see, perfectly fine. It's working. It's still recording. And you'll see what it looks like from the other end. Two. Now, the first one was good. I'm still going to show it, but this time we're going to be using a highly oxidized piece of steel. That means that it is covered in rust, and we're going to see if there's a difference. I did review the footage before I'm taking this clip, so I'm excited, to say the least. You will have already seen that, so we're just going to go straight in. Probably be good if we turn the camera on before we go straight in. Okay, we have our metal in place. Let's do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. Okay, so we're going for a third one. This time we're going to be using some flat steel. I already have the camera set up in there and on. And now I'm going to grab the metal. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this will be our fourth, and for this one, pulling out all the stops. Mother, I am truly sorry if this breaks this camera. Any more and I'll start to boil. I hope I didn't hurt the camera. We'll find out. So, this will be go number 5, and the reason you didn't see go number 4 is because when I put the big hunk of metal in there, it boiled the water and shut the camera off. Didn't ruin it, the camera still works. So Mother, you can't kill me yet. So this time before I put it in, I'm going to put this ball of snow in right after the camera, and then I'm going to quench to try and keep it nice and cold in there. So, gonna prep out our camera, gonna hit record, gonna place this in there, and place that. Now our big hunk. Maybe a bit steamy for you to see, but there we have it. Quenching Fiesta. So I am slightly worried about the camera in there. Where are those? So, what I'm gonna do, reach in with these tongs, find a good place to pick up the camera, and pull it. And we're alive. Honestly, Kodak, hit me up. I could do some advertising for you. I've just pretty much boiled your camera. So, bon voyage.